Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Saturday, February 3rd at Gulfstream Park. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. We've got a stop on the road to the Kentucky Derby with the Grade 2 Holy Bull Stakes headlining the card that includes 5 graded stakes races. We're going to take a look at the late pick 4 plus one other graded stake. So, Jim, let's jump in with the Grade 2 Holy Bull, which is the last leg of that pick 4. It's the 12th race, 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. And Dale Romans has 4 entered in here if they all run. Who did you land on?
Yeah, you think he's trying to win? I think he does. I think he's got a couple of shots. The horses in here that have the name Enticed and Free Drop Billy, simply because, Enticed ran at Churchill and the Kentucky Jockey Club and won that, and then it's been off since then. Free Drop Billy ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Went off at 7-1 and didn't really run a step. Was stuck down the inside, which wasn't the place to be at Del Mar, obviously. But if you take out that race, I mean, he certainly fits. He was one of the top contenders, and he may get overlooked a little bit here. He's 6-1 morning line. I got Louis Saez, the number 1 jockey at Gulfstream. So I'm sort of going to use Free Drop Billy, but I'm also going to use Enticed from McLaughlin, hoping that he'll come back off a layoff. But I'm thinking he might need one. I really liked Mississippi, the 11. I don't like that 11 hole, but he's been extremely consistent with his Le Peru for Mark Cassie, and that second race, the Maiden Special at Churchill, was really impressive and came right back and almost won optional 75. He's got to take a step up, and I don't like that 11 hole, so that would be a big minus. For Romans, I think Tis Mischief, besides Free Drop Billy, has a shot. Almost won the Kentucky Jockey Club and got beat by Enticed by a head. It was coming kind of like a freight train there at the end, and if he steps forward off that, he's got a shot. So I think my top pick in here, based on past class, I can't say past class today, Free Drop Billy would be simply because he was so good last year going in the Breeders' Cup and won the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland. Don't know. I just think he was on the wrong part of the track of the Breeders' Cup and had a terrible day, and I think he's going to bounce back. So he'd be my pick in here. And if he gets 6-1, I would have win money on him. I'll go a little bit deeper when we get to the pick 4, however.
Yeah, I'm going to take Free Drop Billy, too. I like him a lot in here, actually, because I'll just draw a line through that Breeders' Cup race. He won a Grade 1 in the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity last fall. He's got a really strong workout pattern, and this horse won first time out for Romans last summer at Churchill. And Louis Saez, who's been red hot all throughout this meet, is riding. So I just think there are a lot of reasons to think Free Drop Billy is going to run big in his first start as a 3-year-old. Enticed is intriguing, but I just think he's going to be at his best with a little bit more distance. He's a big horse. The 2 Pletchers, you've always got to respect him, Audible and Pony Up. So I would take a shot and include both of those. But Free Drop Billy is going to be my pick, strong pick in the Grade 2 Holy Bull. The 11th race is a Grade 3, the Dania Beach, mile on the turf for 3-year-olds. And I did not have a strong opinion here. I ended up going to Mock Tree, the 10. Not wild about the post, but you got a little more run to the first turn in a mile race there. This horse woke up last time out for Cassie. Big Buyer jump off the layoff, and that was the first start with blinkers, so that might have made a significant difference for this horse that, if you look at the spots they put him in last fall as a 2-year-old that seemingly had a high opinion of him. I'm going to use him in exactas and use as the key horse and use Untamed Domain, the 6, Speed Franco, the 1, Gadoo, the 7, and Channel Cat, the 9. How about you?
We agree on 2 of them. I did not use Mock Tree. Untamed Domain is my strong pick in here. I feel strongly about that horse, somewhat like you do about Free Drop Billy in the Holy Bull. I think that run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, where he was almost completely out of it, 8.5 out in 13th place in a 14-horse field, and got beat by 1 length by Mendelssohn. Finished a good, solid second at 12-1 there, and I just think that if you look at his Buyer progression from a 72 and then with anticipation at Saratoga to an 81 in the Summer Stakes at Woodbine and an 85 at Del Mar, he can run anywhere. I just think it sets up extremely well for him with some speed on the inside here in the 2 horse. And the 1 horse, Speed Franco, was the other one that I liked. The 94 Buyer at at Gulfstream in the pulpit. He has a strong home court advantage here. Untamed Domain has not set foot on the Gulfstream Park turf course, and Speed Franco has a win. And I would throw, if I'm going to throw in a long shot, we're both UK fans. Why not Wildcats Legacy? Really going to get overlooked in the betting because he didn't have a very good race last time. But if you draw a line through that one in Tampa, maybe he just didn't like Tampa. He went off at 3-1. He was 3-5 the race before in a $75,000 stakes at Gulfstream West, and he had a win in his first race at Gulfstream with a pretty impressive 74 buyer and a 7-length lead. So I can't imagine he would go off at 30-1 here. But Ralph Nix throws a couple of curveballs every once in a while, so I think Wildcats Legacy has a shot at getting the money. But my pick would be Untamed Domain, the 6.
We'll back up one more to the 10th race. Grade 3 Forward Gal is 3-year-old fillies. 7 furlongs in this spot. Who did you land on?
Yeah, this is an interesting race. The most one with the most notoriety is Heaven Has My Nikki. If you remember, that's the one that Luke Stables tried to enter the Breeders' Cup last year off a maiden win, and they didn't let her in. So she had a win at she was a first-time starter, and it wasn't full, so he tried to get her in. They wouldn't let her in, so she ran at Mahoning Valley and won by 5 1/4, and then won by a head in Gulfstream in her first race down there. So she is the real deal. She's very well bred at a Majestic Warrior, and they gave $150,000 for her. So I think she's really got a shot in here. Take Charge Paula, the 4-horse for Paco Lopez and McLaughlin, off a layoff, but ran in stakes races in December and 1-for-1 at Gulfstream, albeit on a sloppy course, which you might not get on Saturday. The Violent Times, the 6, I always use Violent horses. It's amazing how many his first crop have gone on to win stakes races, and this horse was very impressive first time out, or she won by 4 lengths. So Violent Times, again, a Ralph Nix filly, has a shot, and Miss Momentum, the 7 for Cassie, and Gaffleone is an obvious choice. So I'm going to go 4 deep in the pick 4 there. If you made me pick somebody, I'd probably take Violent Times, just because Violence has been so good as a sire, and I think she showed a lot in that first time out. So Violent Times would be my pick here, but Heaven Has My Nikki also has a big shot.
I'm going to use the 7 Miss Momentum for my pick in here. A couple of impressive wins in a row, and then 4 good workouts for the Cassie barn coming into this race. And I like the turn back from a mile to 7 furlongs, too, for this filly. So I'm going to play the idea that she is in her best form and can add another one. And then I like the 3 inside horses with her Sultry Morning Destiny, just on the big jump last time, maybe a wake up, and then Heaven Has My Nikki's the other one. The 9th race starts the pick 4, so go ahead and give us your pick 4 ticket, and then we'll take a look at the 6th as well.
Okay, I went 4 deep in the optional claimer, the first race of the sequence. Didn't have a strong opinion, but Tipsy Kitten and Attribute, the 1 and 2, are must-uses as far as I'm concerned, and I think probably the best win choices. I also used a couple outside horses, Krampus, the 9, and I threw in the 12, Fior Kleist, an Irish horse, first time North America, but almost won at the Curragh last time out, so I'm always interested in horses that are coming over here from Ireland. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 9, 12 in the first leg. And in the 10th race, I'm using the 3, 4, 6, 7. Heaven Has My Nikki, Take Charge Paula, Violent Times, and Miss Momentum. In the 11th, I'll use the ones that I talked about: Speed Franco, the 1, and Untamed Domain, the 6. And if you can't afford the ticket that I'm putting together, I would use the 6 as a single. But Speed Franco scares me a little bit with that home court advantage. And then 5 deep in the last leg, Entice, the 1, Free Drop Billy, the 2, Audible, the 4, Tis Mischief, the 7, and the 11, Mississippi. So that's an $80 ticket, but it's $40 if you single the 6. So 1, 2, 9, 12 with 3, 4, 6, 7 with 1, 6 with 1, 2, 4, 7, 11.
I could not come up with a strong opinion in the first 3 legs, so I ended up singling Free Drop Billy. And the ticket's going to be $50. If you don't mind doubling it, you could throw Enticed in there too. I think he's probably the most talented one outside of Free Drop Billy in that race. But I'm going to single Free Drop Billy so that I can start out with 5 in the first leg, Three of the ones you mentioned, the Tipsy Kitten, Attribute, and Krampus. I'm going to use Convivial, the 3, first time gelding, and this horse 1 first time out. And then the 11, McLaughlin is 25% second time off this kind of layoff, so I'm going to take that one as well. So 1, 2, 3, 9, 11. 10th race, I'm going to use all 4 that I mentioned. The 7's the win pick, but I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 7. In the 11th, I'm going to use 1, 6, 7, 9, 10. 5 horses there. Mock Tree was the win pick, but it's not a strong opinion. So I'm going to use 5 in that. And then so that leaves me with Free Drop Billy singling in the Holy Bull to get it to a $50 ticket for my pick 4 on the late Saturday pick 4 at Gulfstream. There's 2 other graded stakes, the Grade 3 Swale, strong favorite in there that we both like, Strike Power in the 4th race. The 6th race is a little more interesting, though. The Swedish Chant, 3-year-old filly, is going a mile on a turf. This is the companion stake to the Dania Beach. And I ended up going for Cash Out. This horse was Grade 3 placed at Keeneland last October. Then they tried her on the dirt. And I remember talking to Rusty Arnold for one of the interviews for the Keeneland social media channels, and he was really high on this filly, and she's had some sharp works for her 3-year-old debut. So I'm going to take a shot that Cash Out is ready to run a big one back on the turf. The Way I Am, I thought was real impressive last time, and then a couple of Chad Browns, 4 and 5, Salsa Bella the 5, Data Dependent the 4. So I would use all of those, but key on Cash Out. So make her the key with those others in the Swedish Chant. How about you?
I'm going to go way out on a limb and put my money on Chad Brown here. I think Data Dependent the 4, The Way I Am, and the Jimmy Durante in Grade 3 at Del Mar, and then The Way I Am came back and ran a race over the track when he was Ginger Brew. So The Way I Am could have an advantage here, but Data Dependent, I've just got a lot of confidence in Chad Brown. So she ships back east and should be ready for this in this spot. And Salsa Bella, the first North American for Chad, the 5 horse, has a shot as well. So I would use those 3 horses. I can't argue against your choice for Cash Out. It's going to be a little bit of a price and got a big shot. But I think Data Dependent. Just put your money on Chad Brown and churn your money because you're only going to get like 2 to 1 maybe. So.
Usually not a bad strategy, though, especially if it's a turf race.
No, it's not.
Best of luck on your wagers on the Saturday card. Got a Derby prep there, so that's always fun. And we will be back next week with another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.